to kind of shake things up a little bit in the office. You don't want to get too complacent and doing things a certain way. Is that going to bring some freshness, or what's driving that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the whole, like, reinventing Basecamp is part of that, like being on this schedule where we have to kind of reinvent Basecamp on a frequent basis. Or not, it's not that frequent, but like 4 years.
4 years
is
right? Relatively.
But yeah, in this industry, sort of, actually, it seems like a long time in some ways. But
yeah.
No, I mean, my opinions change over the years, and I have new ideas, and a thought comes to mind, and I've been doing some things that's been interesting is I've been doing a lot of in-person demos at Basecamp 3, which is, I've never really done a lot of in-person demos at Basecamp before, and it's been really interesting because I'm seeing some really cool insights that come from follow-up questions that we've always thought about demoing Basecamp with videos or tutorials or whatever, right? But what I've realized is that kind of demo doesn't lead to follow-up questions. And follow-up questions are really valuable because that is where someone requests or looks for clarity. Like, wait, what do you mean by that? Or like, wait, how do you do that? Or wait, how'd you think about that?
It's kind of like where they ask the question that they were initially too afraid to ask or something. Like,
that's a good way of putting it.
That they thought was a dumb question before, but somehow...
Totally. It's a great way of putting it. Yeah, great way of putting it. And that like, those moments, I think, are what I'm realizing are extremely valuable. Very valuable. In fact, it's almost all the value. Yet, when you do a lot of self-service stuff, you don't get to that value because you don't talk to the person, right? So
see their facial expressions or...
Yeah, or just like the things that... It's like, you know, a comedian writes material, and, you know, if they want to do an HBO... Or they want to do a 1-hour show on HBO, like... They spend a year in the clubs, like, perfecting that material. They don't know how audience they think all the stuff they're writing now is funny, but they got to try that stuff out. You got to, like, try it out in front of an audience and see what reacts. And sometimes, like, audience gets a reaction on something that you didn't think was going to be that funny, or, like, they react to the timing or something, and you've got to try that stuff out. And so what's been interesting is I gave a couple demos at Basecamp 3, and one of the interesting features of Basecamp 3 is that it's like such a basic thing. Like, you can create folders, and you can drag things into folders to organize them your own way. And I got like a standing ovation from this one group. and like, I was really surprised by that. It was not something that I thought was going to be like this eureka moment for people, right? But I had to be there to see that, to feel it, to know that there's something there now. Like, that's it. And then I could follow up on that and get like, wow. I'm like, whoa. Why? Like, why is that? Why was that such a big deal for you? Like, oh, because, and then you get the because, and the because, like, after every word after because is gold, you know. And you don't get that when you just kind of like put material out there that people can do on their own. So I want to do a lot more in-person stuff next year, and this is stuff that does not scale. You can't, like, we have well over 100,000 paying customers. Like, we have a very big business, tons and tons of customers, millions of people who use Basecamp. I can't possibly demo it for all of them, right? But I don't have to. What if I can demo Basecamp to 200 companies a year? What if I could do that? Like, how much better would the product be? How much better off would they be, and how much better off would we be? Like, I think it's undeniable that there'd be a deep value there, and I want to think about doing that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's very different from how we've ever done things before. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. That's just one of the things I'm thinking about. But I just feel like it's really important to shake up your own thoughts from time to time.
Yeah, and